Hello and welcome to this video about flat progression in Absolute Meta. Actually, you can wishlist Absolute Meta now on Steam. The link is in the description below. Flat progression is a little bit unique for our game Absolute Meta, and I think that's why our community requested this as a topic for our first video. So I hope I answer all the questions here. If there is more, you can ask them in the Discord. The link is in the description as well. For those who never heard about it or have no idea what it is, I will explain the difference between normal progression and flat progression in the further slides that will come now. And yeah, let's go into the video. First of all, I want to explain a little bit about conventional progression systems and how they are different from our flat progression system. Please keep in mind that this is all about multiplayer games, so those games where players can improve their hideout, find better weapons, better gear. All these games, these are what we call here conventional progression systems. The main thing about conventional progression systems is that players get stronger over time. So this means grinding, this means you take your time, you develop your character, and the things you find and the things you do make you actually stronger in the game. In multiplayer games, this means that players that spend a lot of time in the game will be stronger than players that are new to the game, and those players that get stronger over time will eventually be very, very strong. They have all the gear and they have the best hideouts and everything full equipped, and usually in those games there is a server wipe at some point. In contrast, in our flat progression system, players are always equally strong. There will be no point where players are stronger than others, so we don't need any server wipes, and players can do all the things they want from start on. While in a conventional progression system, you can find a weapon that is for sure stronger than the one that you already got, so there's no decision you have to change it to get better in the game. In a flat progression, on the other hand, you can only find a weapon that is equally strong, and you have to decide if this new weapon fits your playstyle more, if this is what you want, or if you want to stay with the weapon you already got. Weapons are just one example for this. We later explore the progression of the character and the progression of the account as well. Both systems come with their positives and negatives. Conventional progression system, for example, has a strong sense of achievement. Players are rewarded in power and it is very beginner friendly, but the negatives are that the content is locked behind playtime, and often if you find something better, you have no choice. You have to take the better thing. You can't stick to the old one even if you liked it better. In a flat progression system, on the other hand, it is all about choice. Players truly have a choice between items, gear and abilities, but the negatives are that it has to be perfectly balanced. If something is a tiny little bit stronger, it gets problematic. There is a missing sense of progression in power, and there's the highest difficulty from the start because players cannot grow into the game. It's all made for everyone, for those veteran players that played it for a long time and those new players that just started the game. And some of the content might be locked behind player skill. And I will talk in the further coming slides about how we tackle all these problems in our game of Absolute Meta. But before I do that, a quick summary why we even chose to go for flat progression. The main reason we chose flat progression is of course the choice. Our game is all about decision making and choices, and we love the idea of someone finding an item and thinking, is this really better than the thing that I already got? Does this fit my playstyle, or does it fit the playstyle of a friend that I got, or can I trade it? Is there someone that maybe likes this item, or can I combine this with a thing that I already got, or something like that? So the real choices are the most important thing and the reason why we put flat progression in this game. Another thing that was really important to us is the access to gameplay without grinding. This means players can access all the content from the get-go and do not have to achieve a certain rank or a certain level to have some of the content available to them. Then all the things you achieved are your achievements. You have chosen all the gear that you combine together, and this is a real personal achievement of personal goals, and this is one of the things that we want to have in the game as well. And the last thing, and maybe this is even the most important thing of all of them, we have permadeath in our game, and we do not want players to start with a weaker character after the old one died. We do not want to punish players for having already lost the character they maybe loved in the first place. So if you start a new character because the old one died, you are equally strong as everyone else. You are as strong as those players with characters alive for several hours or even days. I prepared 2 examples of items with flat progression in our game. The first one is a very simple item, a magazine, the ICU magazine for our rifle. And this magazine has the ability that bullets mark targets for a short period of time. That is a positive, but it also comes with a negative, and that negative is that there is a very weak penetration, so you can't shoot through things. The idea behind this is that on one side it would be very strong if you could shoot through stuff while a target is outlined for a short period of time after you hit them. And the other thing is that everything comes with a positive and a negative, so it equals out in the end. The other example here is the pistol base module, which is separated in 2 parts. You have to know that every pistol has the first part, but the second part is different between all of the pistols. So there's some sort of unique ability to the different pistol modules that you find in the game. This exact pistol module here comes with the abilities that all pistol models come with. This means that, like every pistol, this pistol has a very movement-based characteristic. It has the fastest movement while aiming. This means aim down sight and also hip firing. It has the fastest draw, the fastest rate of fire, and no additional sway while moving. But the negatives here are, it has the lowest damage per bullet. It also has a very high general sway and a high spray and the highest bullet drop. And when you shoot aim down sight, it has a very noticeable recoil. The unique part of this pistol is that it applies additional bleeding damage. All guns in our game apply bleeding damage, but this applies more bleeding damage. And the downside is that it has low bullet penetration as well. So if you combine the pistol and the magazine, for example, you get a weapon that applies a lot of bleeding damage, marks enemies for a short period of time, but has very, very weak bullet penetration. Now I want to talk about the problems that flat progression has and how we tackle them in our game. The first problem is that flat progression is really hard for beginners. The solution for us is that we tackle this problem with the playstyle of the players and with the map design. So in this case, we design the map in different areas and players can choose their playstyle and their movement on the map based on how dangerous the certain part of the maps are. Keep in mind that these parts are not separated, they are not distinct from each other, they are flowing over the map, and it is more like a general guideline, a thing that we behind the scenes try to make in a way that they are beginner friendly. But in the game, at all points, every player has every decision to make. If you want to be friendly to other players, you can do it all around the map. But if you want to hurt other players, you can do that equally all around the map. So there's no real safe zones here, but there are areas that are more played by players and other areas that are less strong in player activity. For those players that are maybe beginners, or those players that do not want to play a risky playstyle or just want to chill a little, we design the map in a way that not much is happening in the outer areas on the borders of the map, and if they go deeper inside the map, they will find more events, more players and more interaction. And if they go really to the middle of the map, then there is the heat spots, there is the player interaction, there is everything and the action happening. There are the most events and the most stuff happening. This is how you choose how risky you want to play. So the further apart from the middle you are, the less risky it is. And if you go more and more towards the middle, the more player interaction there is and the more risky you are playing. The second problem we face is the missing progression in power. Our solution for this is a huge specialization option for the players. So this means you can specialize your character, your weapon gear, and everything else you have in the game. We intend to offer the players a lot of options here for specializations, and this is the idea to make them very valuable for other players and for negotiations. But this means that if I'm really specialized in a specific thing in the game, I need the help of players that are specialized in other things of the game. So every specialized player needs the help of another really specialized player at some point. This opens up a lot of room for negotiations, which is what we want in the game. So in the end, maybe you don't have a progression in power, but you feel very powerful because other players really need your help doing certain stuff. Now I want to talk about a little bit about the account progression in our game and how it fits into the flat progression system. For the start, a little example of one of the abilities that you can unlock here or put the skill points into, and this is in the augmented interface tree. You can put some points in there and then you are able to see your friends in the friend list highlighted on your screen with a white outline. This costs you a little bit of energy per hour. The flat progression idea here is that a beginner already starts with 50 skill points locked in, so he has 50 skill points or equal in power unlocked already. But players that played the game for a longer time, they have maybe unlocked new abilities, new stuff in other trees, and they are able to put the points in there. That is just a shifting of points from one point to another. So they lose power on one side to gain power on the other side. They are not stronger than the beginners, they are just different. And there is the character progression as well, where you really can customize your stuff, your character with all the artificial limbs, maybe your car in the future with additional things that you can put on there, like guns, more storage places, and of course your gun that is completely a module and where you can put additional modules in there or take modules away. So you're really free to explore all the different combinations of items in everything over your character and your gear globally, with a lot of stuff to unlock and to explore. Yeah, that wraps up the video. Thank you for watching. As a quick reminder, our game is on Steam now. You can wishlist it. A link for that is in the description below. If you have further questions, you can ask them in our Discord. This link is in the description as well. And there's a comment section in this video where we are very active. And if you want, like and subscribe, because this is one of many videos to come. So thank you for watching again and see you around.